Diaries of a Madman. By What Must I Do? Author's note. We have a Discord here, link in the description for this chapter. They're working on art for a physical book copy now, if anyone's interested in joining the project. There are other people there who just chill and talk. The portrait in this chapter came from that project, drawn by this guy, link in the description for this chapter. End author's note. Poster's note. This is a long chapter. I am cutting it into 3 videos. And the videos will be posted over 3 days. In the past I have been able to cut the chapter into parts at breakpoints in the story. This chapter does not do that. So I just shot for trying to find something like a screen break. End poster's note. Chapter 200, The Awakening, Part 1 of 3. When my eyes opened, the first thing I beheld was Twilight's nose as it pressed against my own. Since it was in perfect range, I pulled back just a little to lick it. Twilight squealed and jumped away, rubbing at her nose in shock. "Sup, Twiggles?" I said as I sat up. My body had been completely wrapped in a very fine cloth, covering everything under my neck. I could still move, but I really didn't want to imagine what that cloth was for. Twilight recovered quickly, at least. "Nav? You're awake?" she slowly asked. "I really hope so," I said. "If this is the coma just fucking with me, I'm gonna be super pissed." "No, you're definitely awake," Twilight said. "That's exactly what one of those spirits would say." Taya shouted, hopping out of the bed. "Maybe we are still in there." "Was it really that bad?" Twilight asked. "And what do you mean, spirits?" "Turns out the coma spell is actually a contract," I said. "It invites spirits into the mind of the one it's cast on. These spirits are able to use magic to connect to the host's memories, along with memories related to that person from others close to them. It allows the host to experience those memories, along with a bunch of other interesting things. I got to see the first bunker Mommy went to," Taya said. "It would have been really scary alone, but we beat it no problem together. It's a really intense hypnotherapy session, essentially," I said. "We got to see all kinds of things we weren't supposed to, like everyone's slow realization that maybe I don't actually like parties. Or the fact that Luna's first meeting with me was planned by Celestia to get more information so they could decide whether or not they wanted to use me as a weapon. Or the fact that Reginald suspected Discord created me the instant he saw me. All kinds of things, really. Oh. And that Cadance thinks I'm scary," Taya said, hanging her head. "And so does everyone else. I found out what the #1 rule on the ship is." "Oh. I'm gonna have a lot to talk about with a lot of people," I said. "Including everyone at once, for a big and important announcement." "That sounds pretty serious," Twilight said, her ears twitching. "Are you sure you don't want to tell me first, in case it's something you might regret? I mean, you did just wake up. And you did just say a bunch of other crazy stuff." "Sure, I guess," I said with a shrug. "You, as a unicorn, are what Athena refers to as half fae, half animal. One of the quirks of fae is that they're attracted to humans, to the point where they usually want to spend as much time as possible around them. Fae also behave very possessively toward humans, to the point where many humans were captured or enslaved back before Discord finished eradicating magic from the world. The fae part of every species on the planet makes them want to spend time around humans. The animal part comes in with the addition of hormones and breeding cycles. I finally found the answer to why I've been raped so many times." "That's completely and utterly horrifying, if true," Twilight said. "But you can't just announce something like that to everyone without at least some kind of proof." "I have several years' worth of evidence as proof," I said. "Along with testimony from Athena. She told me the day I entered the coma and I didn't finish processing it until the coma actually showed the effect in action. Princess Celestia suspected something was going on and Princess Nulscha confirmed it when she visited me in the coma. I don't really know what you'd accept as evidence for something like this, but as far as I'm concerned, the effect is real and finding out how to counter it is going to become a top priority. That is a lot to process, Twilight slowly said. But it does answer one question I've had for the longest time, something that's been kinda bugging me. The spell used to summon you was supposed to bring forth one of the most dangerous beings in the world. Despite your knowledge and your skills in combat, I never really considered you more dangerous than, say, a well-trained combat unicorn. But if what you just said is true, your very existence could cause our society to crumble. Twilight, it did cause your society to crumble, I said. When I got here, Equestria had 3 princesses and a prince who ruled over everything as gods. They're now down to a single princess, who is exclusively under my control. Griffiths was an absolute monarchy and now it's a parliamentary democracy with a monarch that's being phased out. Chrysalis was widely considered public enemy number 1 and the changelings were hostile to everyone. Now my Mooney is super cuddly and the changelings are opening whorehouses under the table to harvest lust. My very presence destroyed Celestia's theocratic hold on this planet. And everything I just saw in the coma made me decide that what I've accomplished was only the beginning. I'm going to continue destroying it all to replace it with something better, and you are going to help me. I'd say the coma worked, Twilight said with a faint smile. You actually look determined. I saw a bunch of things that really pissed me off, I said. And I determined that it's time to start acting instead of just reacting. If I don't want to be controlled, I have to control. Control what, exactly? Twilight slowly asked. That one sounded a little ominous. I just meant in general, I said. I saw several conversations between Luna and Celestia about how to make me obey. And I've heard several people laugh about how easy I am to manipulate. To be honest, a good chunk of what I heard didn't make me happy. When I first got here, I was afraid of living up to your spell's expectations, Twilight. I was afraid to change society too much. But seeing it all laid bare before me all at once showed me that it's already far too late for that. So now, I'm going to begin accruing power. The process has already begun, but I think I'll be taking a more active role. It's time to start magi-teching the fuck out of Equestria. How are Jack's runes going? Last I heard from Jack, he was about halfway to Equestria on the Dreadnought, Twilight said. It's unsurprisingly slow, which happens to be perfect for resource gathering. His crafters have been producing metal, stone, and paper golems of various shapes and sizes. They've also been experimenting with other things, but you'd need to ask Jack or Char for more information. Excellent. Did we decide to name it Dreadnought? No, Celestia insisted the honor was yours, since you insisted that it fly your flags. That's just what the crew have taken to calling it. Apparently there was a push to name it after you, but Celestia shut that down quickly. The ship still hasn't been officially announced, but you'll have to come up with a name soon. That's low on my list of priorities, I said. Step 1 is getting this cloth off me and finding out what's been done to my body. Right, let me unwrap you, Twilight said. Her horn lit up and the cloth around me started unraveling. I held my arms up to make it easier and finally stood when she was down to my legs. Hey. I figured not eating for 3 weeks would have had the opposite effect. Isn't it great? Hera suddenly asked, appearing inches in front of me. You're finally awake, Navi. Her arms wrapped around me and she gently pressed her forehead against mine so she could whisper, Did you sleep well? Decently so, yes, I replied, doing my best to ignore how soft she felt against my body. Did you happen to modify my clothes to fit my new body, too? I most certainly did. Hera sweetly said. But wouldn't you like a mirror to see your new beautiful self? Your wings are so cute. And you actually have a figure now, even if it'll never approach mine. No, looks aren't that important in a world where I'm the only human, I said. Everyone just assumes I'm beautiful. To that end, I've honestly stopped caring. Thanks for fixing my clothes, though. Ugh, you're as bad as Athena. Hera said, pushing me back in disgust. Maybe I should have just left you ugly. Wait, what did you do to Nav's body? Twilight asked. Isn't it obvious? Hera asked. Just look at it. I was upgraded from a small B cup to a comfortable C, and I was no longer so skinny you could see all my bones. It also looked like I now had at least a decent booty. Before, she looked so gross. All bony and malnourished. I barely even had to use beautification magic to get her to this stage. Most of it was just putting meat on her bones. Luckily, we had plenty of it lying around from that unicorn I skinned. Wait, you fed me unicorn meat? I ask. What? No, why would I waste time feeding you? I just used magic to infuse you with its energy and nutrients directly. The cloth was around you to make sure the energy couldn't leak out and to help shape you into a better form. The longer you stayed in the coma, the sexier you would have been. Another week or two would have made a world of difference. Are you sure you aren't still a little sleepy? If you want to prettify anyone, why not Athena? I ask. She said no. Besides, it would take ages. Either that or a whole bunch of blood, more than that unicorn had in him. Blood is easy to come by, I said. How much do you need? Well, it has to be virgin blood, for starters, Hera said. But if you really can get me some, 5 humans worth should do it. It would normally be 2.5, but since we're working with half-fae, we have to double it. Where are you going to get that much virgin blood, Nav? Twilight asked. Celestia, Day, I said. I can ask her to hold a few blood rallies at schools. The students will be interviewed beforehand with the truth spell. One of the questions will be if they're a virgin or not. All the virgin blood can go to Hera. All the non-virgin blood can be put to use in hospitals or by Blossom. Oh, Blossom also prefers virgin blood, Twilight said. But that's only a preference. And is it really okay to use foal's blood like that? There is no price too great to pay for beauty. Hera said. Especially when it comes to someone who needs it so dearly. Have some pity on me. I'm the one who has to look at Athena every day. That actually does kinda make me feel sorry for her. It shouldn't be hard to come up with it, I said. I'll see what we can do. Now then, I turned my head and spread my new wings. They were a translucent pale green and uncomfortably thin. I slowly flapped them a few times and the veins in the wings slowly lit up with magical light. That probably meant I could fly even if they were weak, at least. With my wings in check, I tried lifting my tail. It responded and my new whip vine came into view. Something in it felt weird, so I narrowed my eyes and concentrated. With that, a long spike slipped out of the end of the vine. That looks super deadly, I said with a grin. That isn't something you should be saying with a smile. Twilight immediately replied. Would you rather I be afraid of my new body? I ask. Because I'd rather be smiling about what it can do instead of fearing what Discord plans for it. I will reject any of his so-called gifts by way of the knife and find some way to make use of whatever grows back. And super deadly beats super wimpy any day. Hera, would you point me to my clothes? Do you really need them? Hera asked. It's only us girls here. If you'd like, I could get rid of mine to make you feel more comfortable. Her hands started reaching to the straps of her dress, but I quickly shook my head. I'm fine. I'd feel more comfortable in clothes than with everyone naked. Especially since I'm in a hurry to see some people. But you're not in a hurry to spend some time with the beautiful goddess who spent ages taking care of you? Hera asked, thankfully sounding teasing instead of petulant. If you aren't careful, you might make me jealous. I certainly wouldn't want that, I said, bopping her on the nose. She didn't seem to expect anyone to touch her and was too shocked to actually reply. But despite how well you took care of me, 3 weeks out of the sun isn't good for my tree sister body. My hair is actually wilting instead of just grey and lifeless. To be honest, I wasn't sure if that was true or not, but it sounded like something a tree sister would say. Thankfully, Athena showed up next to Hera with a pure white dress in her hands. "Here you are, Nav," she said. A moment later, the dress appeared on my body. It was perfectly fitted for it, unsurprisingly. I don't think that's what I came in with, but I honestly didn't care. "How was your nap?" "Enlightening. There's a book I'd like to borrow, if you wouldn't mind. The Legend of Eris, Most Cursed of All." "Here you are," Athena said, holding up her hand again. This time, a book materialized on it. "Thanks," I said, taking it. "And thanks for taking care of my body. We'll be getting out of your way for now. I'll visit again soon." "There is a reason I did not tell you about that book," Athena said. "But now that you have been told, there's no reason to hide it. I'm not looking forward to reading it, but it's better than not reading it. Taya, are you ready to head back?" "Yep. I bet they'll all be surprised that I'm back so soon." "I certainly was," Twilight said. "Taya just went to sleep." "Were you really that close to being done?" "No, that's not it," I said. "Turns out the reason another person can save the one in the coma is because time freezes around them. After Taya joined me, we had all the time we needed to get through things. I advise giving your body another week or two to heal before attempting anything strenuous," Athena said. "Despite appearances, you just went through a major surgery. You'll need to get used to the new changes, along with making sure there is no remaining damage." "I intend to be careful. Now that I have access to Celestia's manpower, I can make other people do strenuous things for me." No one else wanted to take the first step, so I finally started walking toward the stairs leading to the book to get out. Taya followed right alongside me and Twilight hurried to join us a moment later. "I'll see the two of you later. Thanks for the hospitality. I'll be sure to bring some gifts next time I come. Farewell for now, Navi," Hera sweetly said. "Do come back soon." I honestly didn't want to, but I knew I'd have questions for Athena after reading the book she just gave me. With an elemental's help, reading it would be easy, but actually processing the information inside was probably going to be unpleasant. Coming up with all the blood Hera needed to prettify Athena would take a little while anyway, so I'd have time. When we got to the book on the pedestal upstairs, I stared at it for a few seconds before sighing. It feels like I've been gone for ages. Certainly longer than 3 weeks. "It feels like that for me, too," Twilight said. "If what you said about half-fae is true, I understand why. A part of me wonders if we can get addicted to whatever it is that makes us desire you. A part of me wonders how inhuman I'll have to become for it to stop working," I said. "At this point, I honestly don't think I qualify anymore. I'm probably more fae than human, so the problem might resolve itself, at least for me." "I know you were worried about becoming inhuman for a while," Twilight quietly said. "Is that still something that concerns you?" "It's not," I said. "I was technically never human to begin with, after all. I just thought I was. So, when I open this book, where will we end up?" "At the fort at the bunker," Twilight said. "Due to various circumstances, Luna decided it would be better to stay in a room there instead of at your house in Canterlot. At the moment, she has taken charge of the book, since she's your most powerful vassal. Flo requested it, to keep visitors to a minimum. Apparently all the warm wishes from your loving friends and family were annoying you, so we had to stop." Kot spent 30 minutes just repeating the phrase "I love you" over and over, I said. "It was unsettling." "I could see why that might make you want fewer visitors," Twilight said. "I assumed she would have tried to hide it more after you made her cry for being insane." "So you heard about that, huh?" "Well, turns out she decided to use it as an excuse to stop hiding the crazy, instead." I'm going to be asking Cascade to increase their counseling sessions. I'm just about finished dealing with insane people with lethal skills. By chance, do you know if Luna has picked an elemental yet? She chose Blaze, Twilight said. As the most experienced in war among your vassals, she decided it would be wise to link up with a communication source that can transmit orders across entire armies instantly. Especially since that communication source is also good at war. I thought she might be better with a soothing water elemental, but apparently she disagrees. As long as there's someone inside of her telling her not to do stupid things, I'm happy, I said. She was about an hour away from building herself an actual dog collar to wear to prove her loyalty to me, Twilight. She was talking about making a leash and a control crystal and everything. Bitch is crazy and I don't wanna deal with that, but she's too dangerous to cut loose. If Blaze is fine with babysitting her, that's good enough for now. I certainly don't envy your situation, but it seems like you're starting to see some kind of light, Twilight said. Hopefully. Now, it's time to snap back to reality. I opened the book and the tentacles grabbed us. Oh, there goes gravity. We got sucked right through and thrown back into the real world. Oddly enough, I appeared right in Luna's chest. Her wings instantly surrounded me and her head pressed over my shoulder. My lady has finally returned. Luna shouted as she snuggled me. I knew when your filly joined, it wouldn't be much longer. I'm fairly confident this isn't the correct way to greet your liege lady, I said. Even if it is unbelievably soft and comfy. You are far from just my liege lady, Luna said, though she finally backed away. Her grin gave me the feeling she wanted to hug me for longer, though. Probably forever, if I had to guess. Are your legs moving properly after that long rest? Or do you think you might need a mount to get around? My own legs will do the trick, I replied. I finally took a look around the room. The small room was as Spartan as I'd expect from Luna. There was only a bed and a writing desk. The light was coming from glowing lines on the ceiling. As I watched, their shapes slowly shifted. So, I know we're at the fort. Was there a place with personal rooms like this? There wasn't, but one was made, Luna said. This entire fort is modular, running off ancient human technology. What time is it? I asked. She didn't even have a clock in there. It's right around 4, Twilight said. Good, that gives me time to talk with some people before making the announcement. Luna, what's the status of exploring the bunker? We found a sealed vault that Flo said was storing items of cultural value. They have been transported to a warehouse in Equestria, awaiting your perusal. Celestia would like you to pick through them and see if there's anything you want. The rest will go to a museum, where they'll be displayed as artifacts of an ancient race. Cool. Any ghosts of note? We have run into things that Zecora was not able to handle alone, yes, Luna said with a nod. She has been keeping a record of what she discovers. All the dead have stories, or so she says. Apparently learning how to unravel their stories makes dispelling them easier. At the moment, the largest hold-up is her. All the deeper portions are blocked off by dangerous spirits. Each can take her days to dispel, even with my assistance in keeping the ghosts back. If you allow me control, we can clear this place by the month's end. I'm not consigning any sapient souls to oblivion, I said. Not if I can help it. I don't mind killing. But on the off chance there's something beyond, I'm not okay with desecrating souls. They would make a very good power source for a war on Tartarus, Luna said with a sweet smile. Powerful spirits like these don't come around every day, my lady. Why can't we just? In other lives, these were my comrades, I said. Jonathan said he met many versions of me, each incarnated by discord, each diving into the ruins to uncover the mysteries of their past, each losing friends along the way. And the original bunker itself was ruled by one Dr. Anonymous, the person I am, the person whose soul was taken from him to be put to use by discord. I'm not forsaking these comrades of old, Luna. If they can find peace from the fate discord inflicted on them, they're going to find it. It sounds like that coma did its job, Twilight said. And with luck, more practice in freeing souls will help Zecora learn more about how to give them, I said. Alternately, doing Death's job for him might get his attention so we can ask him about it instead. Are you using Zecora as bait? Twilight asked. Maybe the coma didn't do anything. Don't think of it as using her like bait, I said. Think of it like this. If you have a monopoly on a market for 1,000 years, when you suddenly get some competition, you'd want to check in on their operation, right? Death's senses are probably supernatural. If he can tell that a large pocket of malignant undead energy is gone, he's gonna start wondering how and why. I'm not using her as bait, I'm just aware that acting openly with unique skills is a good way of attracting the attention of unique individuals. I doubt he'd have any hostile intentions. His name is Death. Twilight said. How innocent could his intentions be? Didn't you say the human personification of Death was the Grim Reaper who killed people? Zecora and I have already met him, I said. He seemed alright, although dosing us with that bullshit was a dick move. Oh yeah, Zecora said she found more of those mushrooms, if you wanna try it again, Taya said. She seemed to think you might be interested. Hell no, that shit was mad spooksville. I'm not about to mess with stuff that sees through time. Now then. Luna, your punishment for cowardice will be therapy sessions. Cowardice? Luna said, flinching back. My lady, when have I ever betrayed your expectations? You waited until I was in a coma to tell me your original plans for me, I replied, crossing my arms. And said up front that it was because you were too afraid to tell me when I could actually talk back. Plus, I got to see a whole lot of other stuff that deserves punishment, so you're lucky this is what I'm choosing to base it on. Her ears shot down, as expected. Yet, I'm not too happy about a good chunk of what I saw. You're going to be my vassal for quite a while, Luna. We have much to work on. I look forward to it, my lady, she cautiously replied. Good. Who all is here at the bunker? In terms of vassals, just Watcher and I, Luna said. Zecora, Princess Gilda, and Spider are also somewhere about. Spider but not caught. I said. What's he doing here? Helping navigate and safeguard the tunnels below, Luna said. He's ideal for scuttling about underground, and his web can act as hoofholds in slick hallways or when climbing is required. Due to all the combat inside this bunker, there's more damage than the one you went to. After learning more of the history of the other bunker from Ava, it's hard to believe this place could have seen more fighting than the Russian one, I said. This fighting was all after the fact, Luna replied. From your so-called companions of old that now haunt the halls. Whenever Jonathan was pushed back that far, he used his pawns as sacrifices to instigate the spirits into attacking the intruders. Since most don't know how to properly exorcise the dead, all attacking them did was cause damage to the surroundings and temporarily run the spirit out of energy. Makes sense, I guess. Well, as long as Spider's being careful. I don't want to expose someone that young to spirits. He doesn't need to be any more traumatized. We have taken care to ensure he only goes in areas that have been cleared, and only with battle unicorn escorts, Luna said. His skills are more adept than a professional pony scout's. It's quite impressive. And there are more of these on the southern continent. That place is absolutely off limits until we come up with a mitigation plan for Arachne, I said. That woman is bad news, for real. Celestia said something similar, Luna said. Was she truly so powerful? Yes, without a doubt, Twilight said. Going to meet with her was a huge mistake. I've never felt any magic power that strong before. I still can't believe she released us. Even Celestia was terrified. Luna, we will make more time to talk later, I said. You have answers to give me. Answers about things like this wish-granting genie. Her ears twitched again and she hung her head. Of course, my lady, she whispered. Come back to the house tonight for dinner, I said. We're going to be having a group chat afterwards. I have some announcements to make that everyone needs to hear. Of course, my lady, she said. But if you'd prefer, I can join you now. You presumably have duties, I said. And you need to spread the word to Zecora and Watcher, who will also need to be present. Where are you going next? Luna asked. For now, back to my house in Canterlot. I have several more people to talk to and quite a lot that needs to get done. It's time I finally get moving again. Understood, Luna said. I will join you again around the time dinner is served. It will be good to share a meal with you again, my lady. It's certainly good to be back, I replied. I'll see you soon, Luna. She bowed and remained in place while the three of us left. I made sure to grab Athena's book before leaving. I don't actually know where we are, so one of you lead the way. Do you want to see anything else while we're here? Twilight asked. If not, I can just teleport us to the circle leading to your house. That works, I said. Her horn lit up and we appeared in front of a door. She opened it and led the way into a small room with a teleportation circle drawn on the bottom. Are you ready? She asked when all three of us were in. Yep, let's do it, I said. Twilight's horn lit up again and I finally went home. Of course, before I even had a chance to look around, there was suddenly a cat latched onto me. Navi! Kat shrieked as she held her entire body against mine. I'm surprised I managed to stay on my feet. Well, I'm sure the whole house knows you're back now, Twilight said. I guess I should have expected this kind of welcome. I'm home, Kat, I said, finally hugging her back. Your body feels so much softer now, Kat sighed, adjusting herself slightly. And your wings are so pretty. Yep, I look like a real fairy now. I'm sure my father would literally murder me if he could. I let Kat go, but her arms didn't move. After a few seconds of silence, I tried prying her off, to no avail. It's gonna be hard to say hello to everyone else if you are latched onto me. I'm sure my lady can do anything. Kat sweetly replied, not even making an effort to move. I'm flattered by your confidence in me, but I'd rather do things that are easy than those that are hard. So if you could let me go now, I won't have to rephrase it as an order. After so long, you don't want to be close to me. Kat simpered, pulling back just enough that I could see her teary eyes. I'm tired of being manipulated, Kat. I'm tired of being used, I'm tired of bullshit, and I'm tired of people who are supposed to be loyal to me ignoring what I need in favor of what they want. I got to see a lot of things in that coma. Things like the memories of my followers, along with their thoughts and feelings at the time. Kat very quickly released me and backed 2 steps away so she could gracefully curtsy. My lady. As I'm sure you can guess, a lot of those memories and thoughts were about how easy I am to manipulate. It usually included laughter and people sharing methods. Kat, from now on, there is only one path forward. And that is my path forward. All others will be rejected and burned. Is that understood? Yes. You're not enslaving your children and giving them to me and Taya, I said. I don't mind if you have children, but if they want to serve me, that will be their choice. I will not allow that decision to be forced on them. Before I could continue Kat's disciplinary hearing, I was pile-drived by my next hugger, Doppel. My lady. I'm home, Doppel, I said, hugging her back. And I got your message. It was well received. I'm grateful to hear you say that, she replied. With that, she fluttered her wings and fell back to the floor so she could also curtsy. It's wonderful to see you again. It's good to be surrounded by friends once more, I replied. Have there been any problems with the house? Or worse, the spirits inhabiting it? There haven't been problems with the spirits, but there have been developments. Zecora and some of the guards have worked together to dispel some of the weaker spirits. I've been helping with the spirit of the maid. And there have been no problems with the house, though you have had many visitors and even more letters. As expected. I believe you said you had 2 more maid candidates. I did, she replied. A pair of sisters. One is a cook and groundskeeper. The other is a maid. Both have experience working in noble houses. Their personalities seem harmonious and they weren't too afraid of Spider or the Naga. What made them pick Nav as their new lady? Twilight asked. They're interested in the great hero, Doppel said. And they're aware that none of us have experience with real noble houses, so they've offered their expertise to the rest of us, to help us all get this house in shape. I'm not really sure that's necessary, but it's probably for the best, I said. I'd like to meet them, but I doubt I'll have any issues with them. I'm not sure what my schedule is going to look like in the coming days, but I'm assuming it'll be super busy. You do have a pageant coming up, Doppel said, looking me up and down. And, did you somehow get more beautiful? I don't know if you're joking or not, but the answer is actually yes. Hira did something to my body without asking. I haven't gotten to look at a full mirror yet, but I was upgraded from a 6 out of 10 to around an 8, it looks like. Add in the cute fairy wings and in the spring, my flowery hair, and I'll probably be at least a 9 when I doll myself up right. The only things stopping me from being a 10 are my face and my ugly green vine-like tail. And, how does that make you feel, exactly? Doppel slowly asked. I'm super pissed that Hira did it without asking. But in regards to the actual modification itself, I honestly don't care. It's not like anything's left of who I was, anyway. And I know more of it is going to be gone, soon. I guess being attractive is marginally better than the alternative, but when I'm the only one around who can even tell, it's pointless. That's obviously not the case, Kot said. Doppel could tell. That's why she asked about it. Oh, I just realized because she looks more like the porn stars on her laptop now, Doppel said. Nav's right, being extra attractive means little when those around you can't see it. I learned that lesson the hard way in Ponyville, since Nav wouldn't let me change shapes to seduce the ponies. It means you'll have to have all your clothes redone again, too. Which means another visit to Rarity, who is aware I have a pageant coming up in a week, I said. Super. Who else is in the house at the moment? Flo, Sentinel's guard squad, Spike, Gilda, the Naga, Aurora, and us, Doppel replied. Gord and Silverquill have been working with Shining Armor to get needed supplies to the Crystal Empire faster than a local noble merchant in order to undercut his profits and weaken his power, so both airships are currently away. Silver herself is at the Changeling mine near Ponyville with another guard squad. She's housed in the nearby hive as she calculates your income from the mine. She also redirected the flow of most of the gems from Rarity to a jeweler, since Rarity was selling most of them and depositing the bulk of the income into your account anyway. Apparently Silver is also helping calculate the costs of the new university being built, even though we're building it for free. Watcher, Zecora, Luna, Spider, and the rest of the guards are at the bunker. I think Jack is on the big airship on the way back. Of the people currently here, I only need to discuss some memories with Spike, Kot, and Taya. Memories? Doppel asked, tilting her head. Not me. Twilight asked. The coma showed me memories and thoughts of those close to me, I said. Some of what I saw was heartwarming. Most of it wasn't. All in all, I have things to discuss with a few people. And I did see a lot of memories about you, Twilight, but most of it was about what I was expecting. I can honestly say that I was rarely surprised by anything that you or Doppel did or said, so I don't think I need to discuss anything with either of you. Aside from saying thanks to Doppel, since she's the real deal. Of course I am, my lady, my slutty bug smugly replied. So now that you're finally back, would you like a bath? Or dinner? Or maybe, me? I definitely want a bath, I said. I'm sure I was kept clean with some kind of magic, but I still feel like I've been in bed for 3 weeks. I'm going to want dinner at some point, but I'll have some announcements to make afterwards, so I'd like more people to be back first. If some aren't available, that's fine. The rest can come later, after I've had time to settle down. If you have no other orders, I'll go draw your bath at once, Doppel said. If you wouldn't mind, I replied. She curtsied again and left, quietly giggling to herself. So she's the real deal, but I'm not. Twilight demanded. You spent 5 or 6 years trying to make me go to parties before finally realizing I hated them, and then you were talking about how to get me to avoid ditching them anyway. You also told Celestia all kinds of things that I didn't want her knowing, like how I knew she was just turning me into a knight so she could use me. I got punished for saying things like that, especially since it was literally true. Although the one thing that saved me from being immediately enslaved by the princesses was the fact that you refused to believe anything I said about human technology or population levels, so at least there's that. I'm sure Doppel has her flaws, but the coma didn't show me any of them. After all, you have been much more impactful in my life than she has. If you have complaints about some of the things I did, why didn't you want to talk about them? Twilight asked. Because I wasn't surprised by them. I knew exactly why you were doing the things you were doing and I can't be angry at you for doing them. I decided there was nothing about the memories I saw we particularly needed to discuss. But if you want me to say something, I'll say thank you for allowing me to open your eyes to what Celestia was. While watching the memory snippets, I could clearly see how you grew and changed. Even if I didn't know you were the element of magic or whatever, I'd still say that you've become someone harmonious, someone who at the very least wants to represent the ideals of Equestria. Well, I guess that's good enough, she replied with a small blush and a faint smile. Would you like some company in your bath, Navi? I would love to see how your wings work. I can also be of assistance. Kot said, jumping forward. Her tail was writhing. I believe the bath is large enough for 2 attendants, I said. But for the moment, I would just like to bathe. Don't worry, I'm excellent at multitasking, Twilight said. I'm sure. For now, I'm going to go find Spike. What I have to say to him won't take long and it would be nice to say hi before jumping in the bath for a while. They're practicing out in the back, Kot said. It was my turn to stare forlornly at the teleportation circle while waiting for you, so I didn't join them. Of course, because that duty definitely couldn't be shirked, Taya replied, nodding. I made sure to take my turns, too. It's good to know you're both diligent in your duties, I said. I'm heading out back. Would you like to test your new wings? Kot asked. No, not at the moment, I said. Technically speaking, I did just have major surgery 3 weeks ago. I'm going to give my body another week or 2 before trying anything too taxing, though I might try flying a little later. Understandable, Kot said. I got a new bath bomb set for your return. I'll go get it and help Doppel. She quickly left, probably hoping I would forget the need to talk to her. So, what exactly did Kot do? Twilight asked. A whole bunch of really creepy things, I said. And I'd like to leave it at that. The remainder of my talk with her will be private. I'm gonna go bother Spike for a moment. I'll head back downstairs when the bath is ready, Twilight said. Her horn lit up and she vanished. And I'll follow right behind you. Taya happily said, pressing herself up against my leg. So where do you think Aqua is? Probably bimbo-moding around Canterlot, if I had to guess, I said. I think I told her to do that during the coma. I'll call her back tonight if she doesn't return on her own. I finally walked to the door leading to the back stairwell and let myself out. Taya followed and closed the door behind us, then cleared the stairs of snow as we walked down. Spike, Ames, and Gilda were all practice fighting near the edge of the cliff, so they didn't see us until we were actually close. When Spike saw me, he froze. That led to getting smacked in the face with a giant hunk of wood. "You let yourself get distracted," the Naga shouted. "What even got your—" "Oh ho," the human returns. He finally looked our way and beheld us as we walked over. "Serves you right," Gilda said. "That's what you get for ogling a lady." "Well, I was gonna ask someone to pinch me to see if I was dreaming," Spike groaned. "But I guess that works, too." "Is that really you, Nav?" "It sure is," I said. "Taya, heal him. That looks painful." Her horn lit up and waves of healing flew out, making the small flow of blood coming from Spike's snout stop. "Yep, that's you," he said, standing back up. "How was your coma? Do you feel all right?" "It was enlightening, and yes. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes. Is now a good time?" "It's nothing urgent. Of course now is fine. But I'd prefer a lot more than a few minutes." "I know, and I wish I had it to give. But I feel super gross, so Doppel is drawing me a bath at the moment. After that, there's a whole host of things that need to get done. But after seeing what I saw in the coma, there's something I'd like to talk to you about." "What about the rest of us?" Gilda asked. "Taya can keep you company until he gets back," I said. My filly's giggle sounded quite sweet to me, but both of them seemed to blanch. "Come along, Spike." He obediently followed me. There was no reason to go all the way inside, so I just started walking to the rainbow fountain. "So what exactly did you see in the coma?" he asked. "Was it something fantastical, or more mundane?" "I was shown the memories of those close to me, along with some of their thoughts and feelings at the time," I said. "After seeing the memories, I was allowed to speak with representations of my inner emotions, who took the place of people close to me. For example, you ended up as the personification of pride while Taya became hope. So, you saw some of my memories." "Yes, but only memories that pertain to me." We got to the fountain, so I turned to face him. I almost started to sit, but remembered the snow and decided against it. "So, what I have to say probably isn't what you're expecting. But I'm sorry, Spike. I should have stepped up to help you sooner. I should have been a better role model for you. I should have started teaching you as soon as I realized there was a problem. And I should have helped us both escape so much sooner. I can't say that I let you down, but I know I didn't do as much as I should have, as soon as I should have. And for that, I'm sorry." "I forgive you," he immediately said. And since it was apparently the cool thing to do, he followed it up with a hug. "Someone doing anything for me is better than all those who just watched," he whispered into my hair. "And I never once thought you weren't doing enough, or that you should have done more. I was always just grateful that you took any time to help me at all. Also, we almost definitely aren't having sex again." "I kinda figured," he said. "I knew it was just what you needed at the time, which is why I was happy to comply. And I know there may be a time later when it's the same, and I'll be happy to comply then, too. Until that day, I'll make do." "Did the coma make you feel better about hugs?" "I like hugs, Spike." I felt his body stiffen in surprise. "I don't like having agency taken from me. So if you pick me up without permission, expect that pain is likely to follow. But hugs that I can escape from are acceptable in moderation." "Hearing that alone made 3 weeks away from you worth it," he said before finally releasing me. "Welcome back, Nav. You want to break your new body in while we're all out here?" "Not yet. I want to verify my new body parts are fully grown before exercising too heavily. Also, Hiram messed with my body, so I'm going to need to modify my armor again." "Jack and Sunshine Smiles aren't here, either," Spike said. "I'm not sure if anyone told you yet, but the big ship we captured is flying back to Canterlot now." "I heard. I didn't realize Smiles was on it, but I'm not surprised. Luna was supposed to make me a new set of armor anyway. I doubt I'll need to fight anytime soon, so I can give my new body time to settle. Aren't we going to Tartarus soon? Spike asked. And don't we have to take down an assassin group? Spike, I have both a Celestia and a Luna in my pocket now. Why would I ever have to fight my own battles? It'll only be if I want to. And since I've decided to stop holding back, I'm going to be supercharging the fuck out of the equestrian military. To that end, there probably won't be a need for me to fight for much longer. But that's so boring. Didn't you just unlock some kind of super cool clone ability? What's the point if you don't get to use it every now and then? The point is having a backup option. What, are you saying you want me to go out and die? Luckily for Spike, he was saved by an unusually loud squawking noise. We looked over and saw Taya and Gilda playing together, having a good time. Should we go save Gilda? Spike asked. I'm sure she doesn't mind working on her flexibility. I think Gilda has a few more centimeters before things start snapping. I'm gonna go save her. He ran off to pry the magic away from Gilda's wings and legs. That just gave my filly another dolly to play with, of course. Since they all seemed to be having a good time, I decided to go check on my bath. Heading up the outside stairs would be hard with all the snow on the upper levels, so I went in through the back door. Welcome back, my lady, Sentinel said, hopping up to bow. She was the only person in the sunroom at the moment. One guard was probably watching the door, so the other was presumably wandering around somewhere. Did you have a nice coma? Yeah, it was pretty neat. I got to see all kinds of interesting things. Most of them were memories about things that pissed me off, though, like how Celestia blatantly bragged that it was her right to make use of me after hitting me with a massive lust spell when she was in heat, or about how the only reason I touched Princess Gilda is because Aqua made me. It was a hell of a ride, I tell you. I was kinda wondering about the Griffin Princess. I knew you were dumb about some of your conquests, but playing with her while her guards were just a few doors down on a rickety wooden airship was something else entirely. And I'm sorry for what Celestia did to you. That sounds awful. I'm going to be having some announcements after dinner that I'd like as many people to hear as possible. It's nothing too terribly urgent, so you can be filled in later if necessary. I'll be there, of course, she said. I assume you came back from the bunker. Did you let Watcher and Luna know? I told Luna to spread the word. I know what's going on at the bunker is important, but I felt a need to return home as soon as I woke up. I'll get status updates on all of our projects tonight. We've been compiling documentation to make it easier to catch up on, Sentinel said. Though I think Silver has most of it, and she's currently away somewhere near Ponyville. She can catch me up on the particulars later. Just a general overview will be enough for tonight. Twilight joined us via teleportation before I could make up an excuse to leave. Way to make an entrance, Twilight. There are just so many stairs here, she said. I don't want to have to walk all the way down just to turn around and walk all the way back up. It'll make relaxing in the bath that much more worth it, I said. Now, I'm gonna go cleanse my flesh prison. Keep on keepin' on, Sentinel. I'll try, I think. She didn't seem to know what that meant. Twilight didn't give her time to ponder it and teleported us back to my room. Flesh prison, Twilight said. I guess that's not really accurate, since I don't actually have a soul, I said. But for you, it would be. Technically speaking, you're just a soul trapped in a body, right? That means you're surrounded by a fleshy prison. It's not trapped if it's supposed to be there. Saying that is like assuming death is the natural order. I've killed enough people to realize we all have our end someday, Twiggles, I said. Death is gonna be the great equalizer. Now, let's go. I slid out of my dress as I walked to the bathroom. I wasn't given underwear, so that was all I needed to do. Twilight was quietly muttering and I was dutifully ignoring it. Kot and Doppel were waiting on us, as expected. The bath was full of bright pink bubbles, presumably from Kot's bath bomb. "Would you like any drinks, my lady?" Doppel asked. "Sure," I said. I'm not sure how I was kept hydrated, but it probably wasn't natural. Getting some fluids in me is probably wise. Just a few minutes outside did wonders for my energy levels. "I'll bring up some juice for you," Doppel said with another small curtsy. Her wings fluttered and she buzzed off. Since the way was clear, I finally walked over to the bath. Kot stepped to my side and held out a gloved paw. After a second of thought, I realized she was trying to help me get in. I didn't need the help, but I allowed her to assist anyway. The bubbles yielded to me, then surrounded me up to my neck when I sat. Once I was in the water, Kot and Twilight joined me. We immediately lost Twilight in the bubbles and she had to use magic to save herself. "Was all this really necessary?" she asked as she did her best to snort the bubbles out of her nose. "It was critical, yes," Kot said. "I wanted only the best for my lady." "I'm not particularly partial to bubbles," I said. "Even if they do smell really nice, kinda like cherries." "It's also supposed to be amazing for skin," Kot said. "It's supposed to make you positively shine." "You better mean that figuratively. If it literally makes me shine, I'm going to be upset." "I don't think there are bath bombs that can make you literally shine," Kot said, waving a paw. "Now let's get you clean, my lady. I've been waiting for this for 3 weeks." Her paws pulled one of my arms out of the bubbles, where we could all clearly see that it was quite literally shining. This wasn't an enchanted bath bomb, was it?" Twilight asked. "Because there actually are bath bombs that do things like that." "Yep, I shoulda just stayed in the coma," I sighed, before letting myself sink into the bubbles. "Flo, where are you hiding? I thought they said you were here." "I'm hiding in the bath, of course," Flo replied. I suddenly felt the water pressure around me grow tighter. "I am patient. We have all the time in the world to talk at night, in your dreams. With Aqua dead, I will once more have your mind all to myself." I wanted to continue sulking underwater for a few minutes, but Kot pulled me out for some reason. "My lady, please forgive me. I had no idea." "Twilight, are these things advertised as enchanted?" I asked. "No clue," she replied with a shrug. "I know they exist and I've heard some of the effects, but I've never looked into getting any. I imagine anything enchanted would have to list the effects, though. Then that leaves 2 options. Either Kot did know or she gave her lady something that she didn't bother reading the effects of." Kot quietly whimpered. "That does sound kinda accurate, yeah," Twilight said. "I've forgiven a lot, Kot. Do you think my kindness is boundless?" "I will do better, my lady. May I begin cleaning you?" "Go for it." I didn't really need or want attendants to help clean me, but company was nice after being trapped in my own head for ages. As it turns out, my new wings did feel good while being rubbed. It wasn't as good as the original Pegasus wings were, but the new magical veins were very sensitive to something Twilight did with her horn. Unfortunately, when I got out, my entire body was lit up. Kot dug up the packaging, where we learned that it made skin shine. To the ponies and cats who were covered in fur, that wasn't too big of an issue. For a hairless ape, it was kind of a big deal. "So what am I supposed to do?" I asked. "Obviously you leave them a glowing review," Twilight smugly said. "So you're saying I should have Taya burn down their store," I said. "Good idea, I'll make sure I tell everyone I got it from you." "So, how about an alternate solution that involves fixing my skin? Put on clothes and makeup?" Doppel asked. "I could turn you into a pony until it wears off," Twilight said. "There's really no magic to fix this?" I asked. "There probably is, but beauty magic isn't my field. If you want, we could pay Hira another visit." I'd literally rather die than ask that woman for help. I'm terrified by what she might demand in repayment. Flo, what about you? You got some technobabble solution for us? Of course, she replied, finally joining us in person. It's less of a magical enchantment and really more of an alchemical mixture. One moment. She slid forward and hugged me for a moment before completely engulfing me. When she finally pulled back, my body was no longer shiny. I separated the mixture from your skin. And so magic once again loses in the face of human technology, I smugly said. It sounds a lot like I need to prove a point, Twilight said. Should I use magic to remind you of a few things, Navi? My body is a result of magic, not human tech, I said. So beating me down would just prove that magic beats magic. Now, my only choice of clothing can't possibly be that one dress. I'm sure I have something I can still fit into. I don't care how slutty it looks, as long as it covers enough of me. I'm sure I can find some pasties, Doppel said. Enough of me being at least 40% of my body, including the parts that are used for fun. I'm definitely not just putting stickers on my nipples. I have no plans to go out until I get more things fixed, but I want to at least move around the house. Well, a robe would always work, Kot said. If you bring me something that's pink and fluffy, we're gonna have problems, I said. What about black and fluffy? Doppel quietly asked. That's fine, I replied. Kot sighed in relief and rushed to fetch a robe. I noticed her frantically hiding the fluffy pink one further in the wardrobe before pulling out the black and dark green one. So when did I get fluffy robes? This black robe is from Chrysalis, Doppel said. I think the pink one came from Fleur. You would have had a few closets full, but we made everyone stop since we knew your body would be different when you woke up. None of us were expecting how different, though. Who was making all those clothes? I ask. And, why? All of your paramours, plus Rarity, Celestia, and Cadence, Kot said. They were trying to deliver outfits they wanted to see you in while you were sleeping and you couldn't tell them no. Well, some of them were also trying to bring you clothes for the upcoming pageant. Rarity has given me several outfits. I only brought you a few bits of racy lingerie, Twilight said. You know, something we could both appreciate. Well, I'm sure they'll look even sexier on me now. But for the moment, Doppel was wrapping a warm and comfy robe around me. What? Doppel shouted, springing away from me. I spun around to see what was wrong and almost immediately realized it myself. Whoa! I shouted, turning my head to look at my wings. They actually phased through the clothes, so we didn't even have to fit them through the holes. And the tail? Well, can't win them all. It was poking out from under the robe. I know I touched those wings earlier, Twilight said. They're definitely solid. So, how does this work? We can try to figure it out later, I said. For now, I'm going to enjoy a convenience that was long ago stolen from me. I walked over to the desk and opened the jean-locked chest stored under it. From it, I pulled out one of the cherry blossom seeds and a small piece of tape. Once the sweet seed was safely tucked away deep inside me, I closed the chest and stood back up. The dye glass was still sitting there, so I flipped it over. Flo, does Celestia know I'm back yet? She doesn't. Would you like me to inform her? If you'd be so kind. Of the group of people offering to clothe me, she's the closest one who can get it done the fastest. I need to talk to her about some other stuff, too. Once I can actually go outside, I'll arrange a meeting with. Before I could finish, Celestia teleported just inches away from me. The sudden change in air pressure started to throw me back, but she compensated by grabbing me with magic and pulling me in with her wings so she could hug me. Welcome back, Navi, she sweetly sang. Ooh, you're almost as fluffy as I am. Don't you have princess-like things to be doing? Kot asked for me. I wanted to, but I was being smothered by Celestia's freaky hair. Luna and I need to compare notes, Celestia said. I'm aware of it, but she isn't. I want to see if she noticed it as much as I did. Since it's not hitting me hard right now and you just got out of the bath, I think it might be pheromone-based, but I'll need more sample data. We'll have to get you nice and sweaty later, Navi. And then I'll need to get very close. That sounds a lot like an excuse, Twilight said. I doubt it would be something as simple as pheromones. Oh, so you actually did choose to tell the others, Celestia said, finally releasing me from her hellish yet angelic grasp. I assumed the coma would make you change your mind. Tell the others, what? Caught slowly asked. That's part of the announcement I'm going to make tonight, I said. Essentially, my very existence as a human acts as a drug to all the species on this planet, making them addicted and forcing them to want me. It seems to affect people more based on proximity, but my very presence has destabilized this world. And it's going to continue doing so until we figure out how to stop it, assuming I continue remaining human enough for it to matter. What do you mean, drug? Cod asked, her head tilting slightly. Her eyes seemed very devoid of life, all of a sudden. There is something about humans that attracts us, Celestia said. The old me suspected it. I broached those suspicions with Nav and had them confirmed, though she apparently just learned herself. Athena told me the very day I went into the coma, just a few hours before, I said. I realized how true it was while I was in there. Yeah, I bet, Celestia said. I'm sure you got a whole lot of memories of Luna and I talking about you, right? We were incredibly possessive. You weren't the only ones, I said. I think the only thing that stopped Moonbeam from claiming me is that she knew from the start I was created by Discord and formed a secret deal with him while she was a prisoner in Canterlot. That stunned everyone into silence for a few seconds. Thankfully, Cod even lost the crazy look in her eyes. As expected, Celestia recovered first. You say she made a deal with Discord, yet you still call her Moonbeam. The deal was made in the panic and chaos of defeat. I later watched her rescind it. You and I are going to sit her down and make her explain exactly what happened. Then we will decide if she is Moonbeam or if she is Chrysalis. But until then, the last I saw is her casting Chrysalis aside. She's pure Fae, Nav, Celestia said. And you've helped supercharge her. I alone am not strong enough to deter her anymore. Then we'll invite Luna as well. We can have Shiny and Twilight on standby in another room. Wait, I want to be there, too. Twilight said. If she betrayed us, I have a right to know why. She doesn't like you, I said. Celestia was her student, Luna was the last foal she delivered, and I'm too sexy to stay mad at it. She can talk to all of us with few to no reservations. We'll fill you in on the important parts later. You're not just teasing me. Twilight shouted. You're gonna spill everything. We'll see, I said, reaching over to touzle her mane. I changed my mind before my hand got there and chose to scratch her ear instead. So, Celestia, I need some clothes changed to fit me. Hera did things to my body and now it's sexier. Her horn lit up and my robe flew open. Oh, indeed, she said, looking me up and down. You look much squishier now. So this is what humans find sexy. Her magic gently lifted one of my breasts, testing its weight. Why did Hera do this? Because she's crazy. I pulled my robe closed and actually tied it properly this time. Don't you have princess-like things to do? End of part 1.